Finally, we talked about a solar plexus and a lunar plexus. This is going to be of the utmost import when we hit joint mass center. It's going to be an important pun. But from the solar plexus and lunar plexus, these two are what keep us in balance. As these rotate and oscillate around each other, this hourglass forms the inertia for everything. If you already have shockability, that forms the torque for all of your striking ability. So if you're not fixed into the ground, you can generate the torque curvilinear. All right? Shock absorption, it comes in, it's very short, although it's pelvic generated. So if we're back in this position, how do we throw? Do we step in front? Standard Samba Judo Jiu-Jitsu. No. Look at the dynamic situation of this motion. All of your torque for all of your throws need to be this delicate hourglass between your solar and lunar plexus. Once you have that, when we move on to the next section, you're going to see that all of your throws come from this impellent force. We've heard the term range, but what significance does it have to us? If at most, it's been a complication for our tactical abilities. It's been a complication because we try and access particular techniques at a particular range, but what do we know about a fight? It's dynamic, it's brutal, it's short, and there's not much that we have to access when we're trying to think our way through this. It happens too quickly. Range is not a tactical option. It's a biomotor relationship. What the heck does that mean? Let me tell you. If we're at distance and we're not within reach of each other, this is in an extended range. We need to close the gap in order to at least be within gripping range. Otherwise, we need to access one of our weaponry. So we move from extended range into long range. What does long range mean? Long range means that the first joint enters into the relationship, our wrists or our ankles. In this long range, we see that it's the furthermost joint that comes into play. We don't walk into his long range without our weapons available. He's just dominated the situation because we didn't realize that it's a joint relationship. So we have extended range where we're outside of touch. We have long range where we start to try and control the wrists and the ankles. If we move in to the elbow range, where we're controlling the elbows and fending with the knees, now we've moved into the middle ground. The middle ground is mostly where everything happens. At the very least, we pass through this quite often as we're moving. In the middle ground, it's most treacherous. It's most treacherous. So we have this middle ground because we've moved past the long range of the wrists and ankles, and actually of the head and neck, into the elbow and knee range. If we move tighter into the shoulder range, we see that the shoulders and hips are now engaged. In this tighter relationship, different tactical options appear, but not because we have to compartmentalize and say, oh, long range, we have these techniques here. Middle range, we have these techniques here. Extended range, we have these weapons. When we move into close range at shoulders and pelvis, well, we have these techniques. It's not that way at all. If we see it from a joint relationship, then we know if we're in this range, we have different vectors that we need to be affecting. We see what we need to do to bring him to the ground, right? One more range, isn't there? Spine. Spines to spine, crushing grass bed. If spines to spine, then we're at tight range or intimate range. Take that as it may. But At intimate range, the only joint that's really accessed is the spine because the feet are useless. Try and fumble around with long-range weapons out here. It's not going to do you much good. You have to use the spine to move and throw him, like we did with the workshop just a minute ago. So we see that range is not a series of tactics that we have to bridge the gap. It's what particular joint recruitment relationship we have with our opponent at the time, whether extended range, long range, middle range, close range, or tight range. We see that it's a relationship of joints. Can you imagine what this is going to do for your game if you understand range, not in context of compartmentalized techniques, but in accelerating your ability to manipulate his forces against him?